Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we are opening up an instrument that so many of us think we know, the modern piano. It's this, huge wooden box in the corner of a room, but most of us only ever really see the keys.
And that's what makes it such a great topic for a deep dive, right? It's
Mm.
because it feels so familiar. But we've been digging into this amazing Bosenborfer talk session with a pianist and a top technician. And it really shows you the piano is, at its core, this incredibly complex machine.
It's like 300 years of physics and art all rolled into one.
Exactly. It's engineering, it's necessity, it's pure passion, all captured in that one massive case.
So that's our mission today. We want to take all of that, the history, the technical stuff, and the special secrets of a brand like Bosendorfer, and really crack the instrument open for you.
To get you past just thinking of it as keys and strings and see it as this living, vibrating thing.
And where do we even start with that?
We have to start right at the beginning, around 1709, because the first real aha moment is realizing what the instruments that came before the piano just couldn't do.
Which was what?
They couldn't get loud or soft. They had no dynamic range.
Ah, right. The harpsichord.
A harpsichord, yeah. Beautiful instrument, but when you press a key, a little mechanism inside plucks the string, kind of like a guitar pick.
So you get that bright, crisp sound.
You do, but the volume is always the same. Doesn't matter if you press the key gently or you hammer it.
It's basically just on or off. You can't put any emotion into the force of your playing.
Exactly. And that was the problem Bartolomeo Cristofori in Italy set out to solve.
This is around 300 years ago. He invents the, what was it called? The gravicembalo called piano e forte.
The harpsichord with soft and loud. And the defining invention, the thing that changed everything, was moving from plucking to striking.
So hammer.
Little hammers strike the strings. And that tiny change was a revolution because suddenly the force you use with your finger translates directly into volume.
You push gently, you get piano, soft. You push hard, you get forte, loud.
And for the first time, the instrument could really become an extension of human emotion.
And as soon as composers got their hands on that ability, they just ran with it. They started pushing the technology to its absolute limit.
Oh, immediately. You see this incredible period, late 18th, early 19th century, where the piano has to grow up, and it has to do it fast.
Because music is moving into public concert halls.
Right. And composers like Beethoven are demanding a kind of power, a kind of range that the instrument just wasn't built for yet.
You can almost hear that strain in the music. The talk we looked at mentioned Beethoven's Waldstein Sonata as a key example.
It's a perfect example. The expressive drive in that music was already asking for more than the simple wooden frames that the early pianos could handle.
So the art was literally breaking the machine.
It was. Composers wanted these huge dramatic sounds, especially in the bass. But to get that, you need thicker strings under way more tension. The wooden frames just started warping, cracking. Some even collapsed.
So the artistic dream needed an industrial solution.
It really did. And that's where the Industrial Revolution in the 19th century comes in and, saves the day.
With cast iron.
With advances in casting that allowed them to make these huge, incredibly rigid cast iron frames that sit inside a modern grand piano.
If you have to stop on that for a second, because the amount of force that frame is dealing with is just, it's staggering.
It is. When you tune all of the strings in a grand piano to the correct pitch, they are collectively pulling on that frame with about 20 tons of tension.
20 tons. Wait, what?
20 tons. More than a city bus.
That's why. Why so much? How is that even possible?
Well, think about the range. For those deep bass notes, you need really long, thick strings. For the high treble notes, they're short and thin. The frame has to hold every single one of those strings at its exact frequency without bending or twisting an inch for decades.
So the piano isn't some delicate piece of furniture. It's a high-tension industrial machine.
It's engineered for contained violence, all so we can create something beautiful and quiet.
That structural power kind of leads us to what's going on inside. I mean, knowing it has a 20-ton frame makes the next number a little less surprising. A modern piano has somewhere between 5,000 and 8,000 separate parts.
It's an incredible mix of materials. You've got wood, metal, felt, leather, all working in concert. But the part that actually makes the music, the real source of the sound, is the part most people don't even think about.
It's not the string itself, right? If a string just vibrates on its own, it's pretty quiet.
Very quiet. Almost nothing. That little vibration has to be amplified, so it travels through a bridge into the most critical component of all, the soundboard.
That huge, thin sheet of wood under the strings.
Yep. And that soundboard acts like the cone of a giant speaker. It takes that tiny string vibration and makes a huge volume of air move. And that movement of air is what we hear as musical sound.
This was my favorite part of the talk, the demonstration they mentioned. If you take the whole keyboard and action mechanism out of the piano
Which you can do.
and you play it,
You get almost no sound at all. Just the quiet little thunk of felt hitting wire. The strings are vibrating, but they have no voice.
the soundboard is the voice of the piano.
It is. Which brings up this really unique challenge for the pianist. Think about it. A singer is their instrument. A violinist feels the vibration right under their chin.
But a pianist, they're at a distance.
There's a physical and even a time delay. From the moment their fingertip touches the key, that whole 8,000-part machine has to fire. The hammer has to fly, hit the string, and fall away.
And only then does the vibration start its journey to the soundboard and back to the player's ear.
It's a sensory gap. They aren't touching the music. They're starting a chain reaction in a machine. All those hours of practice are about learning to bridge that gap, to control the energy so precisely that the soundboard does exactly what they intend.
They're learning to hear the soundboard, not the keys.
Exactly. That they have to become one with this machine that's actively trying to pull itself apart with 20 tons of force.
So let's talk about a manufacturer that really leans into that idea of the instrument as a single, unified whole. Bosendorfer.
Right. Founded in Vienna, 1828. One of the oldest piano makers still around.
And the Vienna context is key, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, this was the music capital of the world.
Yeah.
Beethoven, Schubert, they were all there. So Bosendorfer's whole tradition was steeped in this desire for a rich, expressive, romantic sound, the Viennese tone.
And what's their philosophy for achieving that tone? What makes them different?
It's fascinating. Every piano maker obsesses over the soundboard, but Bosendorfer's idea is bigger. They want the entire instrument to resonate.
The whole thing, not just the soundboard.
The whole thing. They don't see it as a soundboard inside a box. They see the piano as one giant integrated musical instrument where the case itself has to sing.
How do they do that?
Through a really unique choice of material. They call it the total spruce design.
Spruce, that's the wood they use for violin tops, right?
Yeah.
Because it resonates so well.
Exactly. So every manufacturer uses spruce for the soundboard. That's standard. But most of them use a really hard, dense, wood-like beech or maple for the outer rim, the case of the piano.
And why do they do that? The hardwood?
They want the rim to be acoustically dead, or at least highly reflective. The idea is that the hardwood reflects all the string's energy back inward, forcing it all into the soundboard.
To maximize projection, to make it efficient.
Exactly. Contain the energy. Bosendorfer does the complete opposite. They build the rim and other big parts of the piano out of resonant spruce, just like the soundboard.
So they're not reflecting the energy.
They're transmitting it. They're literally making the entire box sing. The rim isn't just a container. It's an active part of the sound, vibrating right along with the soundboard.
That feels like a huge risk. Aren't you worried about losing energy, making the sound less focused?
You might lose a tiny bit of that immediate punchy attack, but what you gain musically is just profound. You get this incredible depth and complexity of overtones because the whole instrument is alive.
So what does that actually sound like for someone listening?
People who play or hear a Bosendorfer almost always comment on the attack. It has a very gentle initial attack. The note doesn't just jump out at you.
It blooms.
It blooms. It starts subtly and it just expands, and it seems to fill the entire space with this really warm, deep sound.
I love that one description from the source material, that the tone is like ink slowly soaking into paper.
That's the perfect analogy for it. It's not a sharp line. It's this gradual, organic spreading of color.
And I imagine that has consequences for the player. If the energy has to travel through the whole case, it might feel a little slower.
It can feel slightly less immediate than a piano built for pure speed,
Yeah.
but the trade-off is where the magic is.
What's the payoff?
You get this incredible, rich sustain,
Yeah.
and a palette of tonal colors that's just immense. Bosendorfer is basically choosing musical resonance over raw mechanical efficiency.
It's a design that rewards a player with a really refined touch.
100%. It rewards patience and subtlety.
So, to bring this all together for you, we started this deep dive seeing the piano as, a familiar object, but it's really this marvel of engineering.
It's complex because our desire for expression is complex. Cristofori gives us dynamics. Beethoven's demands force the creation of that 20-ton iron frame. We learn the soundboard is the true voice.
And then a company like Bosendorfer comes along and says, let's make the whole thing sing.
Yes. And bring us back to that 20 tons of tension. I think that's the most profound part of this whole thing.
The paradox of the instrument.
It is. That massive industrial strength, all it contained violence, is the only thing that makes the expressive freedom of a composer like Beethoven possible.
All that force is required to enable subtlety.
Exactly. So here's a final thought for you to take away. The most delicate, gentle, expansive sounds a piano can make are only possible because of the incredible, unyielding physical strength built into its core. It took a mountain of industrial might just to create the space for a musical whisper to fill a room.
That is a fascinating relationship to think about. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We'll see you next time.